hard because inevitably, like, you're always going to be bending over.
Right, like that stuff you're not gonna be able to change. Just how can we maybe like reduce the amount of times that you have to do this because everything's closer?
I think they have coolers that are called tall boys. You know, they're taller,
Yeah.
reach in. That's nice.
Right.
It's hard. I don't know how you would always have those. We're lucky enough to have one big one that we don't have to reach down too far.
You know, like those tins you put stuff in? So like it's all in the bottom cooler that you have like prep food in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do those come in different like weights? Like some are like lighter weight than others?
Yeah.
And then some hold food a lot colder or
Yeah, they don't really make any.
it's just like the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are some things that they have now that are called cold wells that are they're almost like portable refrigeration units. But the problem is we also take up space. A kitchen, once it's time to go, is a lot about how much space do I have to put food out. You know, because at some point every table in your restaurant is going to fill up, and you're going to be selling food, and you're going to need every bit of practical space that you have, whether it's to work, you know, cooking, or whether it's under the heat lamps, right, for holding. So,
What would you say is the big, like just for you personally, like which part of your body do you feel the most strain in? Like your shoulders, your back, is it your neck?
I have noticed, like I said, this year's the first year that I really noticed it.
Right.
My neck, absolutely. Okay. My shoulders and my legs. My legs are...
So not as much, like you do the repetitive things, but like most of it's like your shoulders, neck, and back.
Early on in your career, you do feel here because you're not used to it.
But that becomes muscle memory, and it's
absolutely
okay.
Yes.
So the things we need to, because it's saying like pick at least like 5 major
shoulders,
things:
neck,
and back.
lower back, legs.
But I don't want to fix things. I don't want to pick things that we can't fix.
But
You know what I
it
mean?
doesn't necessarily mean that we have to fix them. They want us to.
I thought I said that earlier.
We do eventually have to come up with something, but if we're picking things that we like that are not serious problems, then why are we even fixing it in the first place? We're wasting our time.
I'd say like the biggest thing is like space utilization.
Okay.
I mean, like this kitchen, we could do things a lot better here.
Yeah.
This kitchen was a coat closet for a toy store.
Right.
And then he opened this place as a coffee shop, so it was never intended to be a fine dining restaurant, and now that's kind of what it's become, you know?
Okay.
So,
So
I think you guys are on.
What do you think?
Something there. I mean,
With moving, okay.
space utilization.
Space utilization.
So what our fix is going to be mostly change the layout kind of what they have to limit or reduce the amount of times you have to bend over or reach up or stand in this position for a certain. You're going to have to do some things, but how can we space things out so that you do it less?
yeah.
That's our fix. It's ultimately.
That's what the focus is.
Yeah.
And then everything else.
I think, you know, yeah, I think that's the main thing. They're
You can,
chefs in kitchens are like, they're stubborn people in stubborn places because this is a lot like the knives have been the same way forever. The pans have been the same way.
So do you think it could be better?
Yeah, I do.
So you
So
can.
we could change.
Some tools could be changed.
In what way do you think?
They're already starting to do this, right? So
Right.
We
there's
talked about knives, right? Sorry.
knives, absolutely.
What else?
In what way would
You can make them lighter. You can make them fit your hand better. I mean, you can make them fit your hand better. You can make them lighter or heavier or sharper, better metals. And then other tools, there's a lot of induction cooking going on now, which means they take out the fire. There's no fire. There's just like a reactive cooktop.
Right.
So you're not burning yourself. I mean, like you burn yourself so many times. Other tools, a lot of the classic way of just face value way of determining whether a pan is good or not is how heavy is it. Is it heavy because that means it's good.
Really?
That's changing now.
you can have a good pan if not?
Exactly.
The emerald pans.
I mean, sure.
I'm trying to think of like how could we change the way something's set up so you don't have to bend over while you're cutting? Because if you're doing, what could we
Raised
do?
cutting boards could help.
But would
people
that
would need to be
affect-
trained that way. Yeah.
Because the training.
And you're trained this, like I said, like these we've been learning and using the same things for years and years and for generations now. But yeah,
So
if you
we-
train somebody to cut up here, I don't think it would be that
But it
much.
wouldn't affect the accuracy of the cutting.
I don't think in your shoulder
Not,
would get
not if you're
hurt.
trained differently.
Yeah, I think I would feel tired in my
Your shoulder,
shoulder.
yeah, it's even
Yeah, yeah,
worse.
shoulder- You'd have to find the right position to be right like that, but then also not have to stand up. Or not have to like bend your neck over.
What if? We'll talk about this later.
Okay.
Like instead of like if you were chopping like this, but if you looked into something and then that went like down.
Like
so
if
I
you had
could
like
see
an angled mirror in front of you so you look
you could
up.
just do that.
I've actually heard of that. Yeah, I mean, they do.
That's a good idea.
They kind of do the opposite thing for like expo kitchens that are like. We had a kitchen out here for guests to see. They'll put a mirror behind you so they can see what your hands are
What
doing.
if you have the shelf where like the plates and everything and the pans or whatever on top?
Put a mirror
If
in.
you put an angled mirror down, so while you cut, would you think if you practiced, you'd be able to learn to cut
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at the mirror?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of times
'Cause it's a
we cut
repetitive
without
motion, but
looking
if
at our hands.
You do
Yeah, because you're using this
to touch the knife.
to guide
So why
you.
why do you lean over in the first place? No,
When-
just because you do.
Because you do have it, but and then like I said, there are times where you do.
You gotta be fine.
You do have to. We're doing very like a Renoir or a
Right,
special
but while
cut.
you're doing basic things, you can just sit there, look at that, just
Yeah.
make sure you're doing it okay. And when you need to, you can go
Right.
down. So that limits the amount of time already. I think that's one solution. We put an angled knife or angled mirror right above each thing.
An adjustable cutting board so you can raise it up when you need to, but then when you need to find it, you can look down on it.
Yeah, but then we didn't want shoulders resting up here either, because that's another. He already said his shoulders. If
Well,
you were
we
cutting
want
up
it
here-
raised. Do we want it raised? What would feel better to cut down here or to cut up here?
We already
More
know that.
comfortable
That would be
down
better,
here. That's
yeah.
the way we've learned. for
So
years.
I think the
Well, that's
solution is we
because that's
put
the way
the
they
mirror
learn.
there and we cut down here, so we don't have to bend over. If you're just in your normal position, your eyes relaxed, you cut like that. You don't have to do anything.
It's just a weird thought, but yeah, I mean,
Theoretically.
You'd have to test it and stuff like that.
sure.
but why not?
I mean, theoretically, it makes sense.
I feel like that would be the best.
And your shoulder moving all the time.
Like all that stuff's gonna be fine, but we solved the neck problem.
Yeah.
But how do we
Well,
solve the
this is-
shoulder problem? That's what we need to look at.
We solved one. Who cares?
I mean,
Well, we need okay.
No design's perfect. It's better than not having. a
I
neck
think
problem.
the shoulder thing, like at that point, then you're like, okay, well, I'll use like a RoboCoop or a food processor, but then you sacrifice quality.
Right. So that we can't do. What can we do without sacrificing quality? Is not make your neck bend over. That's just one solution.
Could you ever? If the kitchen you think was big enough, would you ever be able to sit down and do your work? Or does that?
I don't think so, unless you had. I mean, I guess if you had a table that's low enough, but
Get yourself in like a wheelie chair that can like go down the line.
That would be. It's interesting because we're moving. You'd have to have extreme organization on your station, which some restaurants do have. I mean,
But then what would he do when he has to go around and start picking things up and stuff like that? Because you got to get out of your
Getting
chair.
up and down
you
would
need
be
a
a
hand
hazard.
washing station like in your chair, you know, like
Yeah.
or something.
You've been in a lot of kitchens, so are a lot of kitchens not set up efficiently? They're just set up like the way they're set up. Or do you think
I
majority?
mean, a lot of places it's like you just find the best piece of real estate possible, and then you're like, all right, we're gonna make this kitchen. That's not always the case. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but a lot of the times it
A lot of the times, like that's why we do.